Welcome to another episode of the Finest Hour podcast, where we celebrate the moments that define success. Today, my guest is Paul Stockhill from Agemaspark. Paul.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Before we dive into your Finest Hour story and also talk about this, please tell me about Agemaspark.
Agemaspark is a precision engineering company. It's based in Doncaster. There's only a group of 16 people work there, but we do a lot of work with lots of different manufacturing sectors. We have things in the International Space Station. We have parts on Mars. We have do a lot of work with civil and military aircraft engine, turbine work and power generation work, gas and oil, plastic injection, mold tools, robotics, extrusion dies, even down to the end of making dies for Rice Krispies. So yes, we do a lot of different things.
Yes, you do. And the actual story of you getting into engineering, it all goes back many, many years from now.
Yes.
And started with this coffee pot, right?
Yes.
And that's
54 years ago.
Yes, because we were talking about what's the defining moment, and it might seem like this was one of those because it changed a lot, and we talk about other moments too. But tell me the story of the coffee pot and your one and only job interview, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, at 17 I left school. It was then you could do a lot of metalwork and woodworking in the late 60s, where you were allowed to make things. This was for my CSE exam in metalwork, and at the age of sort of 16 to 17, I designed and produced this silver-plated coffee pot for my O-level bit, and it kind of changed my life. My life really. As my first job interview was down Wheatley Hall Road in Doncaster at a company called Crompton Parkinson's, who manufactured lighting fittings and electric motors at that time. So I went to the interview, and I'd been in the interview for like 10 minutes. And the guy asked me if I've got anything I could show him. So I pulled this coffee pot out of the bag and put it on the table, which he picked it up straight away. And then his next comment to me was, "You have to excuse me, I'm just going to show this to somebody." So he walked out of the room, and I sat there twiddling my thumbs for 45 minutes. And
thinking maybe he forgot about me or what's going on?
I was getting worried, for sure. I thought he'd stolen it. But he came back in, and he kind of said, "This is absolutely amazing. You can start work on Monday." And that was the actual length of my interview. And in fact, it's been the only interview I've ever had for a job in 54 years. So this has started me on my way to the engineering career, which has been quite eventful over the years.
So why did you bring the coffee pot? Would you tell somebody told you to do it, or was it why?
No. I took it because I solely believe that people probably you can show somebody what you've done, give them an example, present them things. It's a talking point. You can actually pick it up, feel it, and move around. It changes the narrative in anything. And all through my career, in both different areas of, we've always tried to present or put something live that people can either pick up or look at, or something physical to talk around, because I would say at least 90% of every time I've been into a business to try and sell something to them, I've probably come out with that order, mainly because we've gone that extra mile in doing something.
So that was your very early lesson in making a strong impression.
Absolutely, and I've kind of followed that through all my career, and especially within the engagement of apprentices and things like that. I've always had Attitude that if someone can give me an example of their capabilities, especially when you come into these kind of industries where working with your hands is quite important.
Making things, yeah.
Making things it's like you get some satisfaction about being able to see it. I mean, it's been locked away in a cupboard and in the loft for several years. Over
and then that reappeared recently,
yeah,
hasn't
recently,
it?
for some other reasons, but it became a focal point for things in my current activities with the education system and things like that now. So yes,
it's shaped your approach in evaluating candidates, how you hire, like just that one experience, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the years, we've fetched apprentices into the business. My business is built really on I don't think it's a unique model, but it's one that in today's environment is probably one of the better models. 11 of my 16 people have come to me when they were either 16, 17 or 18 years of age, leaving school. I put them through an apprenticeship.
And there was always that spark at the start when you were taking them on.
A lot of what those early guys who, especially Sam and Paul, who are now my senior managers. In fact, they're the ones who run the business now. I kind of just drop in now and again and see how it's going. But those two guys were the first ones in the kind of, because we opened our doors in 2002, and by 2003 Sam came on board. 2004 Paul came on board, and then a series of my other employees came after them. But they presented me with physical things. Did you
ask for those things?
Nope, I didn't. I've never.
So if somebody walks into you and they do it, you're like, yes.
Yes. I can tell you a very quick story. That one of the first apprentices interview sets to be put up. I think we advertised. We got 8 replies on the day we we should have had 5 come in for the interview. Only 3 turned up. The first one on a skateboard with his hat backwards. I did interview him. He wasn't going to get a job, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but he wasn't. The second one I thought it had gone up a little bit because he walked in with a suit on. The downside that he sat in the chair and then slouched down, and I refused to talk to somebody who was horizontal to me, and he did not get any further than that, so he was out. The next youngster that came in had a bundle of stuff under his arms of things he wanted to show me. He kind of impressed, and I guess going back to what happened to me is that he's got a job. I'll take him on. He's got it. I didn't really need to interview him to see where. I probably should have.
Was it 10 minutes?
Yeah, pretty much. I should have done it really, because when he started on the first day, I took him out on site with me that particular day. He did tell me that he wasn't that good at maths. On the second day, my current one of the workshop managers then came in and said, "We've got a problem." He literally couldn't add up. He was 18 years old. He had a math age of a 7-year-old. He'd walked 5 miles to work because he couldn't deal with money on the bus.
Well, that was determination. That shows.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I thought, right, we'll give him a chance. So I got hold of certain people. I got him on a day release to teach him his maths. I gave him I didn't give him. I loaned him £380 to put his motorbike back on the road, so he could get to work and everything. Unfortunately, 8 weeks later, he came in, and prior to coming to work for me, he'd been doing cleaning jobs to get some money to fund the night school, doing a mechanical engineering course at the local college. And obviously when he started with me, we were going to put him into a training and everything. He stopped doing that. but he'd gone back to the college and they promised him to get him an MVQ in, even though he'd missed 8 weeks of work, they were going to give him one anyway. And he wanted to leave and go back. And I have a policy: if people want to go, they go. I'm not going to ever try and keep anybody in to try and change people's minds, even if they were really cool, important to the business. But I did, once he'd left, I did ring the college and I told them what I thought of them, because they literally were trying to put, it was a tick box to put a bum on a seat, really, to... And it changed my attitude again to that, so I would start to look at them a little bit more seriously.
Oh, right.
So so it did get a bit different from that day on, but yes, it's one of those fundamental things, and it's gone all the way through the business over the years. So. Because
you actually, you went on obviously into engineering, and in 2002 you started Agemaspark, and you've grown it from, as you said, you have a pretty much homegrown team, don't you? So it's very important, now for your legacy and what's going to happen next, because you've got some really interesting plans to make it an employee trust and pass it on to the employees.
Yes. Again, part of what my long-term goal has been is that I've always thought I've had a job since I was 17. I know it's 70 plus now, but if I'd have been sensible, I may have retired. But in 2016, I actually bought the company whole from my partner at 64, thinking, But that's been my attitude. I'd built so much up by that time. I needed it to be more of a legacy for everyone. So I'm currently in the first stages of doing an employer ownership trust, because my immediate family is not going to take over. I've got 2 grandsons and granddaughters, but the eldest one's 5, so they're not going to be a long time before they wake up. So I have to find another route to keep Agemaspark alive, really.
Yes.
So this is a reflection of what Agemaspark is. It is what it is because of the people that work there. I have something to do with it, but it also, these are the guys who have got things on Mars and drill to the centre of the Earth. So yes,
it's truly admirable, and I think also a great motivation tool for people. They want to continue grow this business, and obviously for you, it's a great way to keep the legacy going on for this business. And there's so much potential going forward. Absolutely, yes, because in the latter few years, I've been involved with the local education system. Again, primarily to find a solution that would give me some backfill to what I already have. So I was one of the founders of the Doncaster UTC some 9 years ago now, when we started that journey. But it's now fully functional. It's into its 3rd full year of occupancy. I took the very first engineering apprentices from there last year. And I intend to do it again this year. And thankfully, my first applicant for this year is actually a girl, which is quite fantastic. Great. So she's halfway there already. So but it depends whether she probably turns up with a copy. She needs to bring something. So we'll see how that goes. Fantastic. And be ready for the interview as well. Yes, that's right. And in terms of, obviously, it's not just the people. You also invest into technology, and there's so many exciting up-and-coming things. Like, for example, you actually, during the pandemic, you have invested £250,000. £500,000. £500,000. Yes. Sorry, got it wrong. Yes. Double that. Don't say it. Don't take it too loud. One Friday afternoon, I signed the documentation to buy a £500,000 3D metal printer. And why? Why? Because I actually been involved with... One Friday afternoon? Well, it just happened to be Friday. But sounds casual. It kind of sits in my head that... and I think it was somewhere about... Well, let me explain a little bit more. When we started the company, we started it on the 1st of April 2002. Yeah.
And I think I bought this somewhere around about that time as well.
Yeah.
So I think April Fool's kind of maybe come into it. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, I've never been one of those with my glass is always half full. And the next best thing is the next thing I want to be involved with. So, and because we work in such a dynamic industries, we do see some really quite impressive things going off that probably don't even get out into the general public at that time. But it's like 3D metal printing. 15 years ago, I got invited to help with developing some repair techniques for Rolls-Royce and TWI, the Welding Institute, to repair seal segments that go in all their aircraft. And this was using additive powder metal laser sintering deposition.
It's truly revolutionary technology.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it has been around some time. It has been much longer than that, but it's kind of come to its forefront in the last kind of 5 to 10 years. I think everyone probably knows about 3D printing, but mainly in the kind of plastic
yes.
bits. And that industry is huge now in its global entity. But the metal side of it has always been sort of kept away into the likes of aerospace and other things. But it's progressed into medical, automotive, F1. Also, it's all over the place now. But my model was to have it in front of a fully functional tool room that is capable of creating any shape and anything with all the internals that anyone could imagine, and finish it.
Yeah.
And offer some technology and some innovation that allows, for example, a reduction of 20% in energy use in plastic injection mold tooling.
That sort of technology is actually must have been very exciting for your employees to see that something like this coming in. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is, and in fact,
it's like a new toy, isn't it?
It
on
is.
The shop floor.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the pandemic, in the pandemic, I took 2 apprentices on. One of them I took from school and I put them all into the AMRC training centre in Sheffield. But one of them, Jay, he already had a job with a company that was closing down. So he had an apprenticeship. He was nearly finishing his first year at the AMRC, but he was going to be made redundant right in the middle of the pandemic. And I was introduced to Jay, and I took him on, and he's great. And in fact, right now, he is the senior operator of a £500,000 3D printer, and he's literally in January of this year finished his apprenticeship. So I have a young man there who's literally in his early 20s, who's responsible for
that piece of equipment.
Yeah. I mean, there are other people involved in it, but he is the primary operator and understanding. And he is, he'll be massively important to the business for sure for a long time.
Brilliant.
And it's that bits of fate. People come into you things come into front of you, don't they?
Yes.
And if you don't take them, and my motto has always been, don't say you can't, always say, what can I do? Yeah,
because I was going to ask you about your mindset. How do somebody, for example, starts a business? What sort of mindset of strategy you think contributed to your success?
I think I'm just rather, you've got to be confident. I've always been confident in my capabilities. And I've always been one of those people who,
positive as well.
Absolutely. The next best thing has got to be the next thing you need to try, isn't it? You've got to look at it as an opportunity. I've never had issues about, I can't do it. Everything can be done.
It's just a matter of engineering.
It is, absolutely, yeah. It's problem solving. My business is about problem solving on a daily basis. We have to invent or create different ways of creating things that people want on a daily, hourly basis a lot of the time. And A lot of my guys kind of pull a face occasionally because there's one other word in my vocabulary that I don't like to use, which is the word no.
Yeah.
I always say, yes, I can. And that's basically, and we'll figure it out from that point onwards.
Yeah.
Even if it's something like this, doing a podcast, I've never done one of those properly in my.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad.
It'll work or not.
I'm so glad I've got you here, and thank you for bringing this. In terms of like, if you was to give any advice to Paul coming with this pot at 17-year-old, is there anything you would say to yourself as an advice back then?
I don't really know. I think you've also got to be confident. The confidence is the thing, and communication. One of the biggest things I tell all the young men it's always been young men, unfortunately, but the young people that come to me are when I go into the colleges and do similar talks and things like that. You need to communicate, talk, have conversations with people. You'll learn a lot. If you talk to them, all my guys, like currently now, we have got 5 work placements in this week. We have another 4 next week, and we encourage them to. And all my people will, if they talk to you, my guys will talk back. So it's important, I think.
I think this is a very inspiration story in terms of how far you've come from that day when you walked in as a 17-year-old to now having your own company and actually passing it on to the next generation. The way you engaged with educational system, and all that sort of stems from that story, and all that it's just. Yeah, it's just remarkable, like how things,
thank you.
How they can unfold.
I think it's important to try and leave something behind, a legacy of your time here on Earth. I'm not looking for, a knighthood and things like that. Would be great, but I'm probably not going to get one of them either. So it's important.
Yes, so thank you very much. I think great testament of you as a leader of this company, and congratulations to all the guys and hopefully girls now joining.
Yes. I like to break that mold. That would be sure.
Yes. So thank you very much, Paul, for being on the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed Paul's story, and that you also took some inspiration from what we talked about today. Please subscribe, like, and share on our YouTube channel or on our website. I look forward to bringing you very many more inspirational stories from very inspirational leaders. Thank you very much. Goodbye.